What's driving my life is that every day just has to feel okay. And that's really not extravagant, not these huge accomplishments, but did I make someone smile? I love making people smile. It's my favorite pastime. So that's what's driving my life, is the usual ambition and all of those things, but really, am I at peace with everything I've done today? If the answer is yes, then I have succeeded.
Wow. Welcome to the Shaping Freedom podcast, where we dive into conversations that inspire personal growth, transformation, and clarity in challenging times. I'm your host, Lisanne Basquiat. Welcome to Shaping Freedom with Lisanne Basquiat podcast. We are broadcasting from the Baltimore Story Fest in Baltimore, Maryland. We're at the Baltimore Theater Project, and very honored to be one of this year's presenting sponsors for the Story Fest. Coming up next, please enjoy my interview with one of the festival's dynamic storytellers. This is an episode you're not going to want to miss. Today, I'm honored to welcome Ansa Edim, an award-winning storyteller and vibrant voice from Washington, D.C. Ansa's stories are more than just captivating. They're deeply human, they're fearlessly authentic, and filled with the kind of wisdom that stays with you long after the telling. With a keen ability to illuminate life's pivotal moments, Ansa reminds us of the power that lies within our own narratives. In this episode, Ansa joins us to explore storytelling as a profound vehicle for personal transformation, legacy building, and for embracing our fullest selves. Welcome to the podcast, Ansa. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. What an introduction.
You're welcome. At Shaping Freedom, we talk a lot about reclaiming our narratives and rewriting our family's legacy through owning the power of our ability to create our story. How has storytelling empowered you personally to reclaim and reshape parts of your journey?
Amazing question. And it's been a journey. What started out as something that was just fun because I was living kind of what I didn't realize was a silly life, but I was asking people like, oh, is this normal? Do people usually do this? And I just started storytelling, and it turned into what is now a one-woman show about me reclaiming my own agency. And every time I do the show, it's a catharsis. I realized in storytelling over the years that I was letting everyone else have agency over what my life looked like. I was following someone to Hawaii. I was going over here. I was just kind of saying yes to whatever. And then looking back, really disappointed that I wasn't driving my life. I felt like I wasn't claiming any agency. Now when I'm storytelling, it's just a reminder every day that this is my story.
Yeah.
And that telling it is something that I and only I have the power to do. It's very empowering to do storytelling.
Wow. What got you into this?
It's a funny story. So I was married for some time. And then after I got divorced around the age of 28. So I was with that person for 10 years since I was 18. So I'd never dated anyone else. I had really my whole life was just kind of following this person around and being a military wife and everything. And when that fell apart, I had no idea what the world was like. There were dating apps. There were everyone had spent their 20s dating and learning about themselves. And I skipped all that because I found a husband pretty early. So I thought I didn't have to do any of that. And I just started saying yes to everything, going on 7-8 dates a week.
Wow.
I had a spreadsheet.
Okay.
I couldn't remember people's names. I had a spreadsheet of names and identifiable characteristics because I couldn't remember people because I was like trying to catch up. And then I would call my friends and say, hey, this guy asked me out on a date, but he wants to meet up at midnight. Is that like a thing that people do? And they were like, what's wrong with you? And I'd say, I don't know. Okay, so I guess that's a yes. And I would go on these dates and it would go crazy. Yeah. And I would just start being in bars saying, yeah, this happened to me yesterday. And I would end up standing on tables I was abandoned by an Irishman in Iceland. And I just spent the rest of the weekend standing on tables telling everyone how I was abandoned by an Irishman in Iceland. So that's how it started. I went to, I saw the Moth had something, and I didn't know we were supposed to prepare for a story. I just saw the theme, and I got on stage and I won.
Wow.
And I hadn't told anyone I was doing this for maybe 2 or 3 years. And when I started winning is when I started saying, hey, do you want to come see me at this thing? And it just went from there.
Wow. So what I love is your vulnerability and your openness and your willingness to stand on a table at a bar right after having been abandoned by an Irishman in Ireland, which is an amazing story in itself. But the fact that you are able to share so much of yourself and who you are, I would imagine that that's part of what makes this such an important part of your life, is your ability to process, I guess.
Yes, I am processing out loud every time I'm on stage. And the fact that people walk up to me afterwards and say, that was so relatable, this reminded me of something with my grandmother. I didn't realize that everyone was having the same experiences as I was. I didn't know. I thought I was living this crazy, crazy life. And to some extent, yes, I'm kind of wild, but the themes I wasn't putting together. And if no one tells your story, then no one hears your story.
Right.
And me telling my story is a reminder that this happened. This really happened.
Yeah.
I don't think I could live without just yapping to people about the craziest things in the world. It's fun. It unites me with other people as someone who felt very sheltered for a number of years, trapped in a relationship that I was too young to kind of understand that I should leave. Now I feel like I'm part of the world.
Yeah.
And that's the vulnerability. I don't fear judgment. I don't fear anyone saying, well, people often ask, like, well, how did your mom feel about that? My mom is front row center, screaming, cheering me on. My parents have seen the show. I don't lose anything by being vulnerable. I only have something to gain.
You need to say that again for the people in the back.
I don't lose anything by being vulnerable. I only have something to gain.
Absolutely, because there's truth that comes behind vulnerability. You can't deal with what is hidden.
No.
It
took me a long time to pause and say, you've been running for a long time. And when I started telling the story, actually, I had to end it at some point because I was writing this show, I was writing this book, and my editor finally said, okay, so this is the end, right? This is the moment where you realize everything. And then I would say, a guy just texted me in Iceland and he wants to know if I can see him this weekend. So I'm going to get on a flight right now. And then I would go, I left. And then I came back and I said, okay, this is the end. Because I was on the plane and I realized you're crazy. You're doing things, you need to slow down. And then I met someone and I said, okay, so the story's not over. I need to. So at some point I had to stop and look back.
Yeah.
And I can pause and look forward, but I had to stop and look back.
And how did that help you?
I am processing things so much more efficiently, I would say, as my therapist might say. Looking at life in themes instead of unique points, I was able to bring it all together and see, oh, wait a second. You've done this like 3 different times. Yeah, there's a pattern here. Yeah. I'm laughing and everyone's kikiing. But when I get home, I realize, oh, I've told that story in 3 different ways and 3 different points in my life. I'm doing the same thing over and over. Have I learned anything? And now I think I have, but it took me saying it over and over to say, this is a pattern. And I had I've been in therapy my whole life, and I had the first breakthrough I've ever had very recently because I recognized that
there were patterns going on for you. Because you're telling your story.
Because I'm telling,
hearing yourself tell it.
As a performer, I originally felt a little detached from the show. Like, this is someone else on stage doing this performance. And as I continued to do it, it became more and more like me just talking to friends at a bar and me getting emotional at my own stories and me realizing in real time that was really, really rough.
Yeah.
I can't believe you survived that.
Yeah.
Without storytelling, I don't know that I would have gotten this far in my journey, in my healing journey.
Yeah. You know, I think one of the things that's also beautiful and unique about claiming yourself as a storyteller in your own life is that so often the stories are told, we allow other people to tell our story from us, for us. We allow other people to tell us who we are and how we're supposed to approach things and how we're supposed to respond to the things that are happening in our lives. And it's such an act of bravery for you to make the decision that you're going to own that. You're going to tell it yourself, you know, from your own perspective.
I would say I'm an oral historian.
Exactly.
And the history is me. I don't have kids or anything like that. My legacy is that I existed.
Wow.
And saying that, writing it, telling people while I'm here on earth is deeply fulfilling. It reminds me, I exist.
Yeah. You're here in a beautiful way. So let's talk about all this dating. What'd you learn? For those folks who are listening, who are on the dating journey,
okay.
What did that, or what is that teaching you?
I am 37, and for someone who started dating a decade ago, less than a decade ago, I think I finally learned that dating is not it. And I mean that to say that my life was very validation centered. I noticed I was clinging to anyone who validated my existence as a woman, as a person, as a beautiful person. And now my life is so fulfilling that anyone who wants to date me has to be able to add to my already fulfilling life.
Good for you.
And that bar is so high that I actually haven't been on dates in a long time because I'm not looking for a partner. I'm looking for someone who might sprinkle some fun on top of my life. And if they can't do that, if it turns into any type of work at all, I'm not telling anyone to take the trash out. They can just leave. It's gotten to that point.
That's where you are.
Yeah. I had spent so much time just hearing people talk about women being bitter because they can't find anyone. And I was part of that conversation defending people. And it finally occurred to me, there's so much more to life than chasing this. And I've spent my whole life because I was told this is what you need to do. And I truly believed when I was younger that I would be lucky if anyone looked my way. And that I would never find anyone. And when 2 husbands fell out of a tree, it was easier than I thought it would be. And I like a challenge. So I let it go.
It was easier to be married than you thought it would be.
It was easier to find someone to marry. Yeah. That's the easiest thing you can do.
So that's not the thing.
That's not the thing, right?
That's not the thing. And I think so often we're running around and it's like, you know, the word validation that you just mentioned reminded me that very often we, especially as women, we're looking to be chosen. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I do think that it's wonderful to allow men to be men in the pursuit of a woman, but at the same time, we're choosing too.
Yeah.
It's a two-way interview. You know, and I think it's so important that we remember that. I think sometimes we get, you know, so caught up that we're chasing after someone that maybe is rejecting us or abandoning us. That's not the person for you. You don't have to do that.
What is for you will never pass you by.
Absolutely.
And that's something that I learned in all of this processing was that after a breakup, I will look back and say, what did I even like about them? And what I liked was that they liked me.
Right.
And that's not sustainable.
That's not enough.
That's not enough.
That's not
I need
enough.
to like them. And I was so desperate for someone to like me in a way that was fulfilling to me. So they get my jokes. They get to be silly with me. You know, they prop me up and they're encouraging. But I am abandoning myself every single day to make sure that they stay.
Right.
And at the end of it, I'm so drained because I don't know who I am anymore. I've just wasted however long. And I've given up that validation. I have myself. I have the mirror for validation. And I have friends, family, community that is what the priority is. And if a partner comes along, maybe, but I'm not looking.
That's great. All right, can we talk a moment about setting the vibe? If you're anything like me, your space needs to feel good in order for you to feel good. And that's why I created the Shaping Freedom line of candles. It's not just about ambiance, but really about how you align yourself internally. These are more than just candles. They shift your energy. Whether you're journaling, meditating, working out, or just taking a moment for yourself, these scents are curated to ground you, lift you up, and bring you back home to yourself. They also have an 80-hour burn time and scents that are designed to evoke feelings of alignment and internal congruency. And we can all use that. Go to shop.shapingfreedom.com and check them out. Find the one that speaks to your spirit, or buy all 4, and let them burn with intention. You know, one of the things through Shaping Freedom that I talk to people about is the relationship that we're in with ourselves. That is the most important relationship, because it's from that relationship that everything else flows. Yeah. So I'm so happy that that's where you've decided to lean in, you know, to you, what's happening with you.
Absolutely. This might sound weird, but there was a moment where I caught my reflection in the mirror and I thought, she's really cute. And I said, does everyone have a moment where you find yourself attractive?
That's better.
It had never occurred to me that was something that people might think about.
Because walk past the window and stop and go back a couple of steps.
And my friends are always talking about, you know, oh, you're such a great storyteller. You're so this. And they say, why don't you believe us? But if a man would said it, then maybe I'd be like, oh yeah, okay.
Am I really? In what way?
And now you know, I got compliments on my eyes recently. And so I like Googled, like, why would people like my eyes? And I put a picture in ChatGPT or something. And now I can't unsee it. And I see it in everyone. I see the same like shape eyes. I'm like, oh, those are such beautiful eyes. I think storytelling and coming into myself has really allowed me to truly participate in the world, and not just in my own bubble of pity, loneliness, and I'm nothing to pity. I'm having such a great time in my life because I'm the one who's driving it.
I think you're such an inspiration.
Thank you.
Such a beautiful inspiration, truly. And the courage that it takes, again, to share what's happening in your life in real time.
Yeah.
Without procrastinating about it, to edit and filter, but just to tell it is an incredible gift, and very inspirational.
Thank you.
To me personally, and I know to a lot of folks who are also watching and listening.
Thank you.
Stories have an ancient power to teach and to heal. Can you share an experience where telling your story helped you to gain clarity or healing around a significant life moment for you?
Yes, I think you heard the story I told on Mind Your Own about being get outed. I might have been hypnotized against my will in the woods of upstate New York.
I did not hear that story. I heard the story of the shaman.
That's the same story.
Okay.
And in that story, I didn't tell anyone that
But
happened.
I missed that part of it.
Oh, okay. So quick recap. I was engaged, and I called it off during the pandemic. But I was engaged. We went up to upstate New York to a cabin in the woods, to his uncle's property just for a weekend.
Yeah.
And his aunt ended up, you know, having me in one of the buildings, and she said she was a shaman.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what happened. Well, when we came home from that trip, I had doubts, and I had told him, like, I don't think I want to do this. And he had convinced me over and over. Cold feet is normal. If you can't do this with anyone else, if you can't do this with me, you're not going to be able to do it with anyone else.
Oh, lovely.
And I was like, well, maybe he's right. I don't know. And then finally, I just had this moment where I said, I don't care if he's right. I don't want to do this. And I called off the wedding. So in my despair that my life was changing dramatically yet again, I was watching Fleabag, and there's a fox motif. And I looked up the fox motif. if I saw a fox when the vision, the shaman showed me. If you see a fox in your vision or dream, it points you to something that might be bad for you, to remind you to trust your instincts. Mm-hmm. I completely broke down crying. I called my sister. I told her what happened. I was like, no one would ever believe me. And she said, I believe you. She said, we met that family. I believe you. But just telling someone else made me really look deeper into, how did I even get in that position where I was in the woods in this cabin with this woman? What led me to be in a place that I didn't want to be? Mm-hmm. But I was there anyway, because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. Yeah. It led me to question a lot of things that I find myself in a lot of predicaments. I don't want to live like that. I want to put myself in predicaments that might be fun, but that was the biggest predicament I had ever found myself in. And it made me question what's driving my life. So the healing that came from that is so profound. It's lasting to this day.
What is driving your life?
Fun.
Today.
Fun. It's that simple. I decorate my house like it's a dopamine house. It's silly. I'm silly. I do whatever's clever. If I need to rest, I rest. What's driving my life is that every day just has to feel okay. Yeah. And that's really not extravagant, not these huge accomplishments, but did I make someone smile? I love making people smile. It's my favorite pastime. So that's what's driving my life, is the usual ambition and all of those things. But really, am I at peace with everything I've done today? If the answer is yes, then I've succeeded.
Wow. So you talk about wanting to be and positioning yourself as the person telling the story, the storyteller. Mm-hmm. If you were to look forward a couple of decades, what is the story that you would want to tell?
I have a vision of myself living in the UK, a very quiet, simple life, where I had written a note to myself that I found recently, and it said, cute flat with a cat, warm socks, nice walks. The first time I went to the UK was on a whim. I was in Berlin looking for a place to live because I was ready to just up and try something new. I was between jobs. I had been laid off and I hadn't had any luck finding a new job. And I said, I've never been to Scotland. That's weird. I'd solo travel every year. So I popped up to Scotland, and as soon as I got off the trolley, there was a castle right here and an H&M right here. And I said, I'm home.
The best of both.
It was just perfect. It was beautiful. And I just kept saying, there's a castle. No one is stopping and looking at this castle. And I love history. I'm oddly a World War II history buff. I just like history, especially European history. I know my history, but there's something interesting about how there are places older, like the United States is not old enough as a country, right? Yeah. So if I'm going to go somewhere, I want to go somewhere that's old, where there's thousands of years of history that's documented. I just find it so fascinating that I could just be standing somewhere where someone stood. I do this for the I Have a Dream speech at the Lincoln Memorial. I love standing exactly where Martin stood, and I could just be like, oh, wow.
Just feel
like,
that.
You could feel it. Yeah. So I'm in Scotland. I'm loving Edinburgh. It's walkable. Everyone's nice. I didn't feel, this is complicated for me and for, I know a lot of people, I didn't feel very Black in a good way. I've traveled all over, and you can feel Black in other places. And I felt Black in Europe before, in the UK, but I just felt like me, just kind of wandering around. Yeah. And I said, this is it. Forget Berlin. This is it. And then I met someone, and we dated for the next 6 months or so. So I was going back and forth. And every time I felt further and further in love. And then when that relationship ended, I said, I'm still moving here, by the way. So that's the plan. I spent last August there. I'm spending this August again there. Nice. It's just peace. It's the peace, I think, that I've been looking for, where it's quiet and I could live a slow, quiet life.
What does a slow, quiet life look like for you? Because I get the impression, just in this short amount of time, that you're absolutely courageous. You're braver than most. You have this incredible ability to process out loud, and through that processing, to help those folks that are within your earshot. It's pretty clear that you love adventure and fun. And so what would a slow life look like for you as a woman who is up to so much?
It's interesting you say that, because I think I might be processing out loud right now. I haven't given myself the chance to live a slow, quiet life that is not full of adventure, that I'm chasing something all the time. I'm building something all the time. I'm going from this project to that project, or this hobby to that hobby. On a whim, I joined I auditioned for the Washington National Gospel Choir. And that year I was in the gospel choir, so I just do whatever's fun. And I get burnt out very easily. So it'll be a high of 3 months, and then I'm just like so drained. And then a high of 3 months, and then I'm so drained. I have no idea what life looks like when it's slow and quiet. And I want to see. So I don't know that I have an answer to what it looks like, but I know that I want to find out. And that's what packing up, going to find a nice 1-bedroom flat where I can walk to the corner co-op whenever I need groceries. I'm imagining lighting a candle, warm fuzzy socks, and just reading. That's something I could probably do now, but there's too much weight in my life now. In my home is a house I bought from my ex-fiance. Like, I just want to try something new. And I wonder if peace will look good on me. So I don't know what it looks like, but I'd like to find out.
Okay. So that's an adventure of sorts.
It's a new adventure. Packing up. Yeah.
You said that you burn out easily. Wow. What makes you say that?
Well, so I have a full-time job on top of storytelling. And it got to the point where my bosses were like, hey, you haven't taken a vacation in a while. And I'm like, nope, can't take vacation. Don't have time. And I realized that I would close my laptop at 5 p.m. and then I would close the work laptop, open my personal laptop, and be writing stories or rehearsing until 10 p.m. or designing. Like, I was so tired, and I would go to bed at around 1 o'clock and wake up the next morning and do it over again for months. And I noticed that I was getting snippy with people. I noticed I was so run down. I was losing a lot of weight, which I'm a big girl, and I like it. So I was like, I don't like this. And I was really tired all the time, and I wasn't seeing anyone socially. I was just like, nope, I need to sleep any spare moment I have. And it got to the point where I just broke down at work and was crying. And I was like, why am I crying? I was just that tired. And I wasn't giving myself the opportunity to rest. Yeah. And it was my boss, who I love. She's going to be so happy I did this podcast. But she said, if you don't give yourself time, your body's going to take it for you.
That's right.
And after I was crying, and I said, I need to take 2 days off right now. And I did. And she said, 2 days? No, you need to take 3 weeks. And I said, I can't do that. That's not possible. So I took this week off, actually. But yeah, I just get tired.
But why do you say that you burn out easily? The easily is the part that I'm a little...
I think it's
because it sounds like you're doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
Burning out is appropriate for the energy that you're putting out.
I hear a lot of like, you're doing too much, or are you doing too much? Nobody has told me I'm doing too much, but they imply. I think I burn out easily because storytelling is so personal. It's draining. It's after the show, I do my show. Now I'm drained because I just laid my entire soul bare to a room full of strangers. Then they want to talk about the show because they have questions and they relate. And I'm so grateful. But I'm tired because I just, let all this out. And then I need to, as I'm leaving, my director has some notes and I'm like, okay, yeah. And then I go home and sleep. and then I have to wake up and go to work.
Yeah.
So I think I burn out easily because it's hard for me to separate me performing a story from me telling my story.
Yeah.
I'm not performing.
And I don't know you very well, but I will say this. It doesn't sound like you're burning out easily. It sounds
really
like...
okay. Maybe my standards for myself are very high. Well, they are.
Yeah, obviously.
They are very
Obviously,
high.
right?
Yeah.
Because that, burning out easily, it sounds like there's some judgment in that. And I think it's perfectly understandable that if you're doing the things you're doing and you're exerting and exuding that kind of personal energy on a stage, and then everything that happens afterwards where folks are lining up, and doing that. I mean, it's perfectly understandable that you would be feeling burnt out. You didn't ask me. This is totally unsolicited.
I feel much better hearing that, especially because it doesn't give me time to absorb and enjoy kind of the fruits of my labor.
Exactly.
I just won Best Storytelling at the New York City Fringe Festival. And I wasn't
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I wasn't even there to accept the award because I went home.
You were doing something else?
No, I was tired.
Oh, you just went home?
I just went home. So my last show of the festival was that Saturday night. I caught an early train back home to DC, and I slept until Monday.
Wow.
And I got an Instagram message from another storyteller saying, "You just won this big award and no one's here to claim." And I said, "There's an award ceremony?"
What? I gotta find something.
Yeah. And this was fairly recently in the last few weeks that I started to realize, like, I need to figure out a way to balance my life, because that's a great moment. I could have been on stage. I could have, it took me until telling other people, "Oh yeah, I won this award." And they were like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, yeah, I won this award. I would like to slow down a little bit, but I don't know how. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know.
HeraHub Carlsbad is a co-working space and member community designed to empower entrepreneurs. More than just a workspace, HeraHub Carlsbad is a business accelerator and a connected network of successful entrepreneurs. Imagine a collaborative, serene, and spa-inspired environment where you can thrive. Our unique community allows each member to be both a guide and a student, fostering leadership and continuous growth for both you and your business. Experience an uplifting, supportive atmosphere that will elevate your entrepreneurial journey. For more information about HeraHub Carlsbad or to schedule a tour, visit herahub.com/Carlsbad. We also have locations in Temecula, Irvine, Washington, D.C., and HeraHub Carlsbad is one of 3 HeraHub locations in San Diego, the others being in Mission Valley and La Jolla.
As the founder of Shaping Freedom, I'm going to share something with you that I think what can be helpful, and I'm smiling because I've been through this myself, right? I go. I do a lot of different things. I love that feeling of challenging myself to do new things. And what I found in the past is that I would go through these cycles of like up, and then I'm crashed for the weekend. And then I get just enough rest to get me back on my feet. And I do the same thing. And I was on that cycle for a really long time. And what I discovered over time and recognized is that I needed to accept my lifestyle.
Oh.
Right? Because I was still mentally seeing my life 3 lifestyles ago. Yeah. And then once I recognized that, oh, wait a minute, my life is different.
Yeah.
My life is different. So let me take a step back. Like, what does this version of my life need from me in order for me to not feel like I'm constantly in this pendulum swing of high and then crashing out and cocooning and laying on the couch all weekend or sleeping or whatever. And it really, for me, came down to accepting my lifestyle.
Wow.
And in interjecting care along the way. Because one of the things, and again, I know this is completely unsolicited.
I'm listening.
Is that you are a storyteller. You're a storyteller. You are a pioneer. What I view of you is you're a pioneer. You understand the importance of oral history, and you're telling it. And that's a legacy building activity. And you want to be able to do it over time, and you want to get the same joy and fun out of it. So maybe there's some integration between fun and work.
I need to figure that out.
And finding some harmony in it, but really looking at your life. And I'm saying that only because you said burn out easily. You're not burning out easily. You're burning out because you're burning out. Because you're doing things. Because you're doing the things that, you're working hard to burn out. Right? And so it's like, what can you do to be able to make it more sustainable for yourself?
That's really profound for me, because I go, and I don't slow down.
I see that.
And another storyteller friend, he said, I think you're feeling the tension between your storytelling is going up. You're booking all these things, you're winning all these awards, but you still have a job and a home and pets and family and friends. And if I'm focusing on storytelling, the job is maybe struggling. If I'm focusing on the job, maybe I'm not booking any storytelling gigs. And he said something like, at some point, you're going to have to decide what your life is.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like. That's what I'm hearing from you. And that's a scary challenge for me, because
I should just tell a story about it. And
I should. I've been going like a story that I'm working on, or a show I'm working on, is called Lessons in Spite. Because every accomplishment of my life has been because I was trying to make someone mad. I looked back and I can tell you every single thing I've done, whether it was going to business school, whether it was writing the show, Is This Normal? It was because I was like, oh, I'll show you. But when the show was over, the first time I did a run of Is This Normal? Everyone's like, what's next? What's next? And I was like, nothing. I did it. I did the thing. And they were like, well, you kind of like should keep going, right? And I was like, oh, I guess I could. That's just another version of me not driving my own life.
Yeah.
Would I have ever written a one-woman show if I wasn't pissed at somebody? I don't know. I don't know that I would have had the kind of drive, the motivation to do it. And it's hard for me sometimes to motivate myself, to remember myself in the story, and to slow down and say, okay, maybe you should hire a producer or PR, because I'm the one writing and pitching myself and doing all of this. And maybe I need help.
Yeah.
I think that's what's coming up for me in the, after this New York Fringe Festival. I just remember my show premiered in New York in January, and my dog passed away 2 days before. And I said, if he doesn't pass away this week, I'm not doing the show. I can't. I said, I'm sorry, I have to be here. Because when his brother passed away, I was leaving 2 days later as well. And I said, he's sick, if he doesn't pass away, I'm not going. And I think they knew I needed to be released, but I didn't have time to grieve either of them.
Yeah.
I had shows to do. And when I'm alone at home is when I finally am like, my dog died, Yeah. I'm not giving myself the grace that I think I should.
The space and the grace. Yeah.
And I forget about myself as a character in the story.
Yeah.
So it helps to think about myself sometimes as a character in the story, because I'm the main character. I'm not the funny fat friend, which I am that person, but that person is the main character.
Yeah.
And I had never envisioned myself as the main character, and I'm struggling now.
You are the main character.
Yeah.
You are creating this incredible platform for yourself.
Thank you.
And you're being validated along the way for you, for who you are. And when our lives start to evolve into something different, we have to evolve right alongside it. And we also have to evolve, again, our lifestyle. there's an evolution to your lifestyle and the way that you're approaching your life on a day-to-day basis that could probably use some looking at.
Probably.
You know?
I mean, I was thinking when Phil said, "Are you staying for the show tonight?" I was like, "Oh, I guess I could. I was just going to go home. It's a 2-hour drive. I was going to turn around and go back home."
Yeah.
Because I have things to do.
Yeah.
But this is the slow life. This is the thing I'm building is me. It's the evolution of myself. And I really liked that you used the word that was 2 lifestyles ago.
Yeah.
I used to joke to people, oh, that was like 10 lives ago. Because a neighbor would say, yeah, that house on the corner. And I'd say, oh yeah, I owned that house. And she's like, how old are you? And it's, oh, that was like 10 lifetimes ago. And I've been thinking of this version of me, this version of me, this version of me, but it's me throughout the whole story.
It's you.
And I keep forgetting that.
Yeah.
I'm really inspired by this conversation to really challenge myself, to remember myself.
Please.
I have to.
Please.
I have to.
Please. You're up to huge things. And please. So how can we support you?
Well, my show Is This Normal is doing a second run at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this summer.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. After a 4-star debut last summer. And I'm really just wanting to immerse myself in this space a little bit more and with more purpose. Mm-hmm. Every opportunity I've had has been something I've either stumbled upon or like, oh, this looks interesting. But I'm so inspired by everyone around me. They're all celebrities to me. And I just want to build more community. And so how you can help me, I don't know. Okay. I'm going to say something. This is exactly what I'm talking about, where you just offered help and I have no idea how to tell you to help me. Because I'm thinking, no, I have that. I got that. I don't need that.
So let me ask you this. Are you first generation?
I am.
Well,
I was first generation born in the U.S. My parents are Nigerian.
Yeah. I first generation born in the U.S. My father was Haitian. Okay. And learning how to ask for help has been one of my biggest challenges in life.
Yeah.
But I've gotten there because there's no way that you can, there's a cap on what you can do by yourself. I want to thank you so much. I could actually sit here and chat with you for hours.
I'm sure I could talk to you for hours as well, because I'm healing in real time right now.
For hours. But I know that we have to clear this room so that the folks can get ready for the Story Fest tonight, the Baltimore Story Fest tonight, where you will be speaking tomorrow. I will. Saturday.
I'll be performing Is This Normal, my one-woman storytelling show about my dating life. It's a journey to self-acceptance. And it starts off when I'm 9 years old and goes through to today. And so I'll be performing that tomorrow evening here at the Baltimore Story Fest at 8 p.m. And any recommendations for learning how to ask for help? I think that's the help I need right now.
Okay, I will send you a Shaping Freedom link.
Perfect.
Plenty of lessons around that. But thank you so much for your time. I know that I know you traveled away to get here, so I'm absolutely grateful for that and appreciative. And thank you so much for bringing yourself into this conversation and for sharing so vulnerably, both on the stage as you always do, and here chatting with me. I look forward to us continuing to chat and to get to know each other. Yes. And thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here. And this was amazing for me as a performer and as a person. Okay. So thank you for having me.
Excellent. Excellent.